Okay, I will eventually get this figured out. Okay, it looks like I got 3 people here live. I can't see the screen real well. Also, the bottle's right in front of the camera now. All right. So, once again, a false start. Let's see. Oh, I've only got 1 showing up. Come back, come back. We got 2 again. Well, I obviously need to get this figured out, how to make it actually start once I'm set to go. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get going with this, and hopefully everyone else will find their way here. I think I had 10 signed on before, but I couldn't get the video to start. So here we go. And oh, one thing I want to comment on real quick is the little sheet. I accidentally had 15 on there from last week. I forgot to change it. It should be 22. But if it says Machini Malbec from Argentina Rosé, that's the correct sheet. That's what we're going to be doing here. And here is mine. Important glass. Yeah, where are we up to? It's either a 1 or a 4. I can't tell from here. Anyway, whoever's out there, thank you for persisting and staying with me. You can send me a comment. I might be able to see that. But anyway, we'll just go ahead and start. And this is the rosé. I am getting my rosés back in. I think I'm up to about 6 right now. So I got a few more that'll be coming in, and I'm going to supplement those with some others. So right now we have the Machini Malbec Rosé. This is out of Argentina, and it is new to me. This is the first year I've had it. I didn't even know they had a rosé until earlier this year. So we'll give that a try. Actually, Malbec Rosé out of Argentina, not this particular one, I don't think, was one of the things that really got me sold on rosés a number of years ago. Yeah, this one, I really like this one. It's very easy to drink. It's not too acidic. It's still refreshing. Got enough acid in there to make it taste like a rosé and be, you know, nice on a hot day, so you don't feel like you're just buried in heavy, big, bold wines like a red, big red cab or something. This is very light and refreshing, but still has a lot of flavor to it. That's the thing I like about rosés. It's kind of like the summer red in a sense. Okay. All right, I like this a lot. Okay, so this one is retails for $13.60, and I think that's going to be a good seller this year. We'll see. All right, and in case you didn't see it before, here is the bottle. Let me get the glare off that a bit. Okay, Machini is an Italian name. They live in Argentina, obviously, growing wine down there, or growing the grapes and making the wine. And I do have some of their other stuff. I have a regular Malbec, just a standard red from them, and that's the one that also does the Torrontés. It's on the sweet rack. It's kind of a semi-sweet. So let's move on to the next one. Number 2 is Chateau Lacabert from Bordeaux. I'm making a mess here. All right. I forgot to take mine out of the refrigerator, so mine are going to be a little chilly. Let me grab me a napkin, be right back. So I better get a couple of them. I'm making a mess. All right. So this one is one I've had for a long time in here. I can't remember. I don't think this was club wine at one point, but it's a good, solid, inexpensive, easy to drink Bordeaux. And Bordeaux, of course, is out of France. Bordeaux is the name of the region. Clean up my mess here. So what do we know about Bordeaux? Let's see what we have on this one, first of all. And this is the bottle. Okay, you can kind of see that. This one, does it give me the grapes? It does not. Okay, just refresh your memory in case you've forgotten. Bordeaux is a region. France really legislates how their wines are made and how they're produced, things like that. They don't go, well, to a degree, they even go out in the vineyards and spot check things like that. They're, each acre is only allowed to produce so many clusters of grapes, those types of things. So they do monitor it for quality is what they're going for. Also, in the case of Bordeaux and several other regions, the grape varietals. If you are going to use Bordeaux on the label, it has to conform with the laws that they have in place for making Bordeaux. One of those laws is you can only use certain grapes. In the case of reds, there's officially 6 legal grapes to use. In practice, they only use 5 of them. But those 5 grapes are Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Merlot, Malbec, that's one I'm trying to think of, and Petit Verdot. Petit Verdot you will not very often see as a straight varietal. Cabernet Sauvignon, of course, you see that all the time. Same with Merlot and Malbec now. And Cabernet Franc as a individual straight varietal wine is becoming more and more popular. So any of those 5 can be blended into a Bordeaux, any combination. They don't all have to be there. They can be in any amount. You know, just a tiny amount. Petit Verdot, usually you don't find much more than 2 or 3%. And that a lot of times is used to kind of enhance the color more than anything else. So this particular one, I do not know the blend. It's not on the bottle. I don't. A lot of Bordeaux producers don't give out their blends, and they also change from year to year. So they kind of say, well, you get what you get in that sense. Okay, well, looks like I might have some questions over there or comments. I have got to figure this out. Okay. All right, now I got the monitor a little closer. I can actually see it. So what I'm looking at is the monitor. It's normally in front of the cash register part. So comments from Galen. Thank you. You liked my rosé. Didn't like last week's apparently though. Yeah. Warm mine up just a bit. If you ever have to warm your wine up, this is one of the ways to do it. You just kind of wrap your hand around it. And hopefully you don't have a bunch of lotion so it makes the glass look all fingerprinty and smudgy. Okay, so this one to me is fairly light body. Merlots, Bordeaux are not generally super heavy. It's not like a big cab all by itself. The European style making wine is very different than most Americans producers make their wines. Some of them do try and emulate the French style. There is a specification called Meritage or Meritage. This is a Bordeaux style wine made from the Bordeaux grapes, but it's not made in Bordeaux. You will see a lot of those made in California, and it's an official thing. They have to get, they have their own little, I don't know what you call it, club, I guess you kind of say. I'm not up on the legalities of it, but to call it a Meritage, it does have to meet certain specifications, and part of that, of course, is the grapes, only using the official Bordeaux grapes. But it's not a Bordeaux, it's a California wine, and I don't know if they make them in other areas or not and call them Meritage, or if it's just California. I should look that up before I start talking about it. But anyway, so you do have different styles of winemaking from Europe to non-Europe, I guess would be the easiest way to say that. The They're usually referred to it as old world style wines, and this is one of those. It's a little more Americanized than some, but it's still got a lot of qualities that you would find in a traditional Bordeaux style. It is good. Okay, I'll lean over here. Okay, thank you, Julie. Looks like I have 5 people tuned in right now. So yeah, bringing down the house here. And hopefully others can find me as well. All right, so Bordeaux typically is served with food. It's the European concept of drinking wine is very different from the American. And it's different. I don't think it's necessarily better. I don't think either one is better or worse. Of course, if you talk to Bordeaux winemakers, they will tell you that their way is better. And yeah, for what they are, I agree with them. They're better, especially when they're talking Bordeaux. So if you're drinking a Bordeaux, especially a more traditional style, or for that matter, most any traditional European wine, you want to have those with food. A lot of them are really vented and made with the idea of having them with dinner or some type of meal. At the very least, crackers and cheese. That's kind of the go-to food for a lot of Americans on the the more casual side. It's like, oh, let's go have something, sit by the fireplace or go out in the back. Let's have some wine and maybe a little something to munch on. Well, that's your crackers and cheese. Now, of course, definitely try any of these wines with a regular dinner or a full meal. It doesn't have to be that you're always drinking them outside by the patio or inside by the fireplace. Okay, let's move on to the next one and make sure I got the right one here. Yep, Wits End. This is, there we go. Luna is the name of the wine, and Wits End is the producer. So, and this particular one is Shiraz. So let's talk about that a little bit. What does all that mean? Okay, the name of a wine. You've got, when you're talking the name of a wine, I'm doing that, don't I? There we go. It's just like naming a pet. Yeah, okay, well, that's a cat over there, or that's a dog over there. Well, that cat and that dog both have names. You got Fluffy and Rover. So that's the name of the individual cat, just like in this case, Luna is the name of the wine. So Wits End may have other wines that have other names, like Star or Satellite or something like that. I don't know. That's the only one I'm familiar with. So they give their wines names, and this is not uncommon. It's not always done. A lot of times you just kind of go by the producer name. What's the producer? In this case, Wits End. Other producers, the one we did first, Machini is the producer name, and actually it's got kind of 2. Famiglia is another name. So you might have a parent company, then underneath that you have another sub-company. That's real common. It just makes it more confusing. But the point I'm trying to get to is some wines do have their own name. Others, it might be, okay, you get this wine, it's from Joe's Vineyard. So it's Joe's Vineyard, and Joe calls this one Luna, and he calls that one Grapefruit or something, whatever. Or he might just say, it's Joe's Vineyard's Cabernet Sauvignon, and Joe's Vineyard's Chardonnay, and Joe's Vineyard's Merlot, whatever it is. So they're just using the grape varietal for the name, and it's being produced by Joe's Vineyard. So that was a long way around that. Anyway, so we've got a Shiraz here. Shiraz, oh, that's the other thing. Shiraz and Syrah are the same grape. Traditionally or typically, you'll see the word Shiraz used for Southern Hemisphere versions of that grape, and Syrah used in the Northern Hemisphere. It's not set in stone. It's not universal. You'll find some Syrahs that come from the South Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, and you'll find some Shiraz that comes from the Northern Hemisphere. But more typically, if it's called Shiraz, it's mostly from Australia, but it could be from South Africa. It could also be from someplace in South America. So if it's called Shiraz in the Northern Hemisphere, which I ran across one of those not too long ago, it was because they're trying to make it in an Australian style. And that particular one did capture the style pretty well. So this one is from Australia. So let's give it a good sniff and then a couple tastes here. I do like the nose on Shiraz. I'm a big Shiraz fan, so I'm a big fan of a lot of wines. What can I say? If you go on Google and search for wino, they'll probably come up with my picture. Okay, so this one definitely got a lot of fruit in there. A lot of fruit. It comes through really fast for me, along with some tannins on the back end. The tannins they pop in, they kind of fade out quickly. They're not something that makes you feel like you just swallowed a hunk of Gobi Desert, but they are there. That's a little bit of that kind of roughness towards the finish. Hey, I got a question for you. Do I look better this week than I did last week? I got my lighting and setup different, so hopefully I look better. Oh, comments? Okay, Kev Pope asks, or says, if you haven't read it, I thought Bordeaux wine was heavier bodied. The heaviness of the fullness of the body, regardless of the region, is really dependent on what the winemaker is trying to create. A lot of times with Bordeaux, they are lighter bodied than you would expect. Now, this is a good example. We're going back to the last one, the Lacabert, that guy. That's the Bordeaux. It's not the lightest one I've ever had, but it's by far not the heaviest Bordeaux I've ever had. If you get a little higher in, sometimes they get a little heavier. The more intended for food they are, the heavier they tend to be in France, and Bordeaux specifically. That's my exposure to it. Yeah, you probably come up with an expensive, heavy-duty one that's just light-bodied or something. But you know, the body, I would say, is kind of in a range. You know, you've got a lighter side and a heavier side for Bordeaux compared to the broad spectrum of all wines. So you kind of got that range in there that specifically fits for Bordeaux. And I would say the Lacabert is a little bit on the lighter side. I have had some a little bit lighter, but that body or that weight of wine is not uncommon. Okay, back to the Shiraz now. Yeah, I do like this. This is a very good one. I am a big Shiraz fan. I do like it a little heavier than this. I do like big, bold reds in general. And when it comes to Shiraz, that's one I really like, nice and heavy and real fruity. This one's pretty fruity. I do like that part of it. The tannins are a little light. They do come in and leave quickly. They finish fast. It's a good drinking wine. This is definitely one to just kick back and enjoy. Okay, let's see what we got over here. Yeah, thank you. Better background. I was thinking the last time when I did the video, it's like it's like the light was up above and it was like dark from here. Felt like it was some zombie movie or something like that. It was kind of scary when I just looked at it. And oh well, we'll change that next week. So I got that part right at least. Now, the other comment or questions came up a number of times today, not through the YouTube, but people stopping in, pick up their samples and other things, had asked about, well, when we start tasting in the store next week. Not yet. The official date or the end of this is whatever month it's May 31st, which means starting June 1st is when I would be able to do in-house tastings again. Now, I don't know if that also ends the, these guys to go. Once I can, for sure do in-house tastings, I will probably quit doing the to-go ones because it takes a long time to put these together. I actually thought about doing a video and doing like a time-lapse video of me doing this, but I didn't think about it in time. Like camera that I would use for that was at home, so I didn't get that far. But my understanding, unless something changes between now and then, next Friday we'll do the remote tasting again, and I might actually have it completely figured out at that point. But if not, just be prepared to have to jump out of the other one and come into the new one. I will keep the name the same. I found out I can kill off the old one and create a brand new one with the same name. So if it just dies suddenly and nothing's happened, search for it or go back on that same title again and it should come up. It might be a different thumbnail because it creates its own on those. Probably too technical. We'll just stick to wine for the rest of the video, I think. But anyway, I get almost. So hopefully 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be tasting live in the store without the video, without the take-home samples. The table I've got is one of those old round ones for those who've been in the store, and I will be moving this one to the back and taking some of the chairs back there and then take out one of the other tables up front. So we get the social distancing, I get the space between tables and make everybody happy, or at least the powers that be happy. All right, so moving on to the last one. Here is a bottle, and I think that shows up very well. This is Spanish wine, Castilla de Jumilla. Okay, so Castle of Jumilla, or Jumilla, if you want to go real American on it. Castillo, Castle, and Jumilla is the region in Spain where this wine is made. Okay, this is a Monastrell, is the grape on this one. And let's see, Jumilla, if I recall correctly, would be kind of going north to south, kind of in the middle of Spain and towards the eastern side. Not all the way on the coast, but kind of the eastern third. Like if you were to draw it 2 lines down Spain, it would be on that. That's probably coming out backwards. It'd be on the right-hand line if you drew it that way. I understand my geography, I just can't explain it well. So Monastrell is the Spanish name for the grape Mourvedre. May be familiar to some of you, maybe not. Not surprising if it's not. Mourvedre is one of the grapes that is used in French wine, the Côte du Rhône region, which is along the Rhône River, the banks of the Rhône, Côte du Rhône, same is what that means. So Côte du Rhône, it is a fairly well-known wine region in France, and one of the grapes that they do use there is Mourvedre, and the Monastrell is the same grape as Mourvedre, just a different name. You'll find a lot of the French grapes are present in Spain under a Spanish name versus a French name. So anybody want to type one into me? What's another common Spanish grape that has a French counterpart? I'll have to look over here now. Don't comment yet. You think about that. I got one easy one, but we'll talk about this first. This is another one I like. I do have a particular fondness for Spanish wines. Not all of them, of course, but a lot of them are made with American oak, which sounds kind of counterintuitive. You know, why get American oak when France is just like right across the border? The reason being, American oak is a lot cheaper. And what they will do in some parts of Spain, Rioja being a major one for this, they will import raw American oak or cut American oak, but nothing else is cut into slats, basically. Then they will bring that in and they will age it, just basically stack it up and let it weather for a year or so. Then they will take those pieces of wood and then cut them to shape to make barrels out of them, make the individual staves. And then they will, in the process of that, once they get them cut to the right shape and start the actual process of making the barrel, they do it in a French style, which is basically open over a little campfire. They kind of take some starter hoops and put it around them and kind of put them in a circle, circle like a barrel, a little campfire going underneath, and the heat from the fire softens the wood so they can start to bend it. And then a cooper being a barrel maker, that's the official term for it, they have their pieces of metal that they slide over the top and they pound them down. As they pound them down, that pushes the slats in more. So it's an interesting process to watch. If you ever have the chance, definitely take it up and probably find some YouTube videos on it. But they do it in a French style, which is over the open fire. And the fire does, among other things, it adds a little bit of char, burns the inside of the barrels a little bit, and that adds more flavor to the wines. So, all that being said, yeah, to me, it's got a really nice finish, just enough tannins to make it interesting. And the tannins predominantly come from the barrels. You also do get tannins from the stems and the grape skins. The juice does not contain tannins all on its own, only the skins or the stems do. I like the brightness of this. To me, it's a really bright wine. It really opens up nicely. It's got some incredible fruit flavors to it. Don't ask me what they are. You tell me. I'm not really bad at that sometimes. This is one of those times. But I do find this a very enjoyable wine to drink. Again, it's one that would go well with food, a variety of foods. You could do it for anything you could put on a grill or lightly grill. Even grilled vegetables would work with this. That would be interesting. But, you can throw on a steak or something else, or burgers even, and enjoy that with this wine, or just drink it by itself, maybe a little cheese to go with it, just to kind of give you something to satisfy the palate in addition to the wine. All right. Let me see what we got over here. Okay, so Juan likes the Castillo, the last one. Can't argue with that. I like them all, but that is a good one. All right, has any of you guys thought of a Spanish grape that you know the French equivalent for? Show me some comments here. Yeah, keep in mind, I gotta look all the way over here to see this, so I'm not catching these as they come in. Like I say, by the time I get this all figured out, we won't be doing this anymore, which is kind of sad. I did talk about something about this earlier, and I thought it would be kind of fun after we can actually taste in the store. Maybe keep a group to taste all together and do that on video live. That might be fun. Give me your thoughts on that, or stop in and tell me about it. And okay, anybody thinking of any other grape? How about Garnacha? You know what the French word for that one is? The French name? That should be an easy one. Okay, come on, speed typist. Let's see it. Then again, I just realized there is a delay on this. So I say something, you don't get you don't hear it when I say it. I think there's a 5 or 10 or 15-second delay. Forgot about that. Okay, well, I will talk just a little bit more about this. If you have any questions on any of them, feel free to type them in now and I'll answer what I can, or any questions about wine in general. No, that was just thank you. You're welcome, Julie. Okay, so I don't see anybody showing up with it. All right, Garnacha is also known as Grenache. That's the French name for it. There are a handful of others, and you actually get some other names for some of these in Italy and Portugal. So for me, it's kind of fun. It's just, we talked earlier about Shiraz. The other name for that, Syrah. It's not a French-Spanish thing. It's a little different than that. I'm not entirely sure where that came from. I've got a suspicion on something, but that's just my guess. So I won't burden you with that as a fact or anything. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed tonight's selection, and we will have some more good stuff next week. If you like rosés, I just want to let you know again, reiterate that point that I am getting my rosés in now, and I think I will probably be doing a rosé tasting. I'll probably be on a Saturday, a few weeks forward. I want to make sure that everything's going to stay open and stay on track, so I can do that. But I do that have done that every year, just open up a bottle of each of the rosés so everybody can have a sample, and then I also give a discount on the rosés for that particular day. So if you liked the rosé, or you thought it was kind of good, or anything close to liking it, there's a lot of different rosés out there, and I will be bringing more in the next couple of weeks. So like I said, I want to do a big rosé tasting. I generally do that in May, but this May, because of the COVID thing, just did not work, and you all know why. I won't go into that. So look forward to that. Like I said, I hope I can do that this year. I don't want to wait until July to do it, because that's going to get too late in the season. So hopefully early or mid-June is kind of my target for that. Keep checking in with me at the store, and as soon as I know I can do it, I will put something out there and post it and let everybody know. All right, so let me see, got any last questions? Nope. You guys are a quiet group tonight. How many did I show up here with? My counts are not showing. I forgot where I saw that. Okay, anyway, thank you all for tuning in, and thank you for supporting the store. I really appreciate that. You have a good evening, and hopefully you have another bottle of wine to enjoy after I sign off here. So I will actually have to get up, so you'll see a little bit of dead space. I have to get up to stop this thing, I think. It's on the, I don't know where it's at. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Thank you again, and good night.